I have some great HOA stories for you today, and you're going to love that title story too. Here's our first one. HOA yells at me for training guide dog and grilling, and then loses position on the board. Posted by Judas 697734. So to start the story, some background you need to know about me. I volunteer to train and raise service dogs. My fiance says clearly I have a look that says I am weak and I'm a pushover. I have constant encounters with Karens who are just not ready for my responses when they engage me. I have been in the military for 17 years when this happened, and I was responsible for managing over 130 service members. I'm anything but a pushover. I work with civilians, so I have cultivated a polite exterior because I was counseled for looking unapproachable and scary to civilian counterparts. The story, as I said, I raise service animals, so I fall under the ADA when it comes to regulations on where and what I can do with my puppy. We'll call him O. O is an amazingly behaved black lab of 6 months. I have cultivated a level of trust and obedience where I can leave him in a sit with other dogs around so long as I am in eyesight. He will stay. I have raised a few pups by then, and I would have never done that with them, but O is amazing, and I can't wait to get him back after his tour of duty helping Mrs. C be independent. I meet the HOA Karen one Saturday. Me, my fiance, and O were going to head on a road trip to visit my fiance's parents. In our preparation, the last on the list is always getting the kids to use the bathroom before a long trip. So we head out, O gets busy, and I grab a bag to clean it up. I put him in a sit stay and then hand the leash to my girl, and I start walking to the trash can. It's about 100 feet from where he went. I have a clear line of sight to the dog, and he is sitting pretty and alert and watching me intently for a hand cue or a voice command. As I am walking, I hear a womanly screech. I don't quite make it out, but it sounds angry. I ignore it and keep walking to the dumpster to deposit my waste bag and turn around to head back to my 2 favorite people. It is then I make eye contact with the HOA Karen. Karen from here on out. She is your typical Karen, not an inch over 5 feet and has the same circumference. The short chopped hair says that I'm the manager now. She looks me in the eyes, and I finally listen to her shrill scream of, "Your dog must be on a leash and in your hand. My county state law says so, and I will call the cops." Now, I don't do ignorant, and respect given is respect earned. I was willing to try and de-escalate. My fiance owns the condo and is super non-confrontational. So, for her, I try to bring it back down to civil levels of discussion. In a polite but firm voice, I asked if she even looked over at the dog before she started yelling at me. She just bellows like a banshee again, and I repeat. This back and forth happens 3 or 4 times. Me, calm, her escalating in pitch and volume. At this point, she hasn't given respect, so none is required to be given back. I break out my "you done screwed up" NCO to junior voice. It is loud, it's firm, and it clearly states that I'm done with your bullcrap, lady. I clearly tell her if she would have taken 2 seconds to look, she would see that the dog is sitting on a leash in someone's hands. She stops bellowing at me, looks, turns a bit red in the face, and then musters, "You could just say thank you." To which I curtly reply, "Shut the heck up and get out of my face." She waddled quickly off, tail tucked into the condo door. My next meeting with her was when I was grilling. The HOA states no charcoal grills and no smoking or barbecue. I was born in the north, but as a military brat, moved to the south since I was 2. There is a difference between barbecuing and grilling. Barbecue is 12+ hours with coals or hardwood or wood smoking. Grilling is cooking meat on a grill instead of the stove. The HOA put out a reminder, no barbecuing on the premises and no coals. So I was like, awesome, get a small propane grill. It's not barbecue, but it's better than nothing. So I was out grilling and I hear the banshee cry all too familiar now. Again, she didn't come up to me and talk. She just started screaming. So I looked her right in the eye and, with the same firm voice, "Shut the heck up and go away. If you say one more word, I'll be the one calling the cops for harassment by an HOA member." She sputtered something about no grilling or open flames, and I told her to screw off, show me in writing by someone else other than her. She waddled off, and then I was approached by the HOA president with the HOA bylaws, and I sat down to read them, during which my fiance started a conversation with them about another issue that we were having with them. She was in the middle of having the state attorney's office ask some questions about activities that they were trying to force her into paying for. It wasn't going well for the HOA, and she took this opportunity to introduce herself. While she may be non-confrontational when it comes to small things, she will stand up for herself when it comes to it. Her introducing herself changed everyone's tone, and they became oh so polite. Karen tried to play the victim to her and say that I was mean and could use some manners when engaging with people. I loved my soon-to-be wife, and she let her paint her tale how she was a victim. When she finished, she looked her dead in the eyes and said, "You know, I was the one holding the leash, and I was standing right here when he was grilling, so nah, you got the same respect that you gave." She paled and faded to the back, and that's when the president of the HOA stepped in and told me that I can't have the grill and that I can be fined and I needed to follow the rules of the HOA, or next time he'll be the one calling the cops. Well, President, roger that. It is my job to enforce regulations in the military. I spend hours reading instructions. Nothing pleases me more than when I can shove the black and white in a butthole's face at work to get my guys what they are owed or to force them to do the job right. So, you want me to follow the rules? Copy that, buddy. So I began my research, and I found a few interesting things. First off, no HOA bylaw can be enforced if it is not in the state database. Next, this particular HOA's bylaws were last updated in 1994. It was 2016. They state that they follow my county's fire code, which follows NFPA. And finally, the gem, the exact latitude and longitude coordinates of the HOA's property lines. So I get a login for the state's database and print the HOA's bylaws. I print the NFPA, which states in a multifamily home you can store propane tanks no bigger than 2.7 liters, but they can total no more than 5.4 liters cumulatively. I go to Lowe's, I get a rope tape measure, and I get some stakes. I pull up Google Maps and mark that HOA boundary line on it. Lo and behold, what do I find? A drainage ditch that is city property not 10 feet from where I was grilling. So I take my coordinates, my stakes, and I go carefully mark off the section of city property. Now, for the revenge. I call the city and county fire departments and request a permit to grill on said city property. They said, go for it. I didn't need a permit for it. No one would care. I insisted, and they said, it's my $50. They issued and an event open flame. So with both permits, it was $100, but I got permission from the city to grill there for 6 months. The next day at 0700 hours, I went to set up. I carefully measured so that I was at least 3 feet into the city property. I set up my cooler with enough meat and beer to grill till doomsday. And then I waited for the fireworks. It didn't take long for Karen to come screaming at me. I mean, I was 10 feet from the community pool and 3 feet from the sidewalk gazebo that led to the pool. I just hit record on my phone and politely told her that she has no need to yell and I am breaking no laws. She kept screaming about no grilling and how she is tired of me and she is going to get me arrested and kicked out if it's the last thing she does. She hasn't liked me since she saw me and has just been waiting to get me kicked out. Now that she knows which condo is mine, it's just a matter of time till she finds something. On and on. I guess me polite and showing zero fear was ticking her off, so she tried to come take my stuff. big no-no. As she reached for my cooler, I broke out my NCO voice and told her if she so much as brushes a finger against my property, I would remove the offending body part with force if necessary. This sent her scurrying off again. About 20 minutes later, I see 2 cop cars pull up and Mr. HOA president himself. He is all chummy with the cops, and as they approach, I hear him say, "Yep, same guy. I already told him once before, he can't grill on the HOA grounds." He comes to a stop about 10 feet from me. 1 cop stays with him, and the other keeps walking up to me. I have a crap-eating grin on my face, and I can hardly wait for the conversation to happen. The cop is slightly off-put by my joyous face and my slight giggle. When I ask what seems to be the problem, officer, I get informed that I am in violation of the bylaws and have been warned once already, and I am going to receive a ticket for disturbing the peace for threatening the HOA when they were trying to enforce the rules, ticket for an illegal open flame, a ticket for illegal storage of flammable substances, on and on. The last was, if I didn't pack up, I would be arrested and removed. Now that he was done, I first handed him my permit from the city to grill. He took it, walked back to the president, and they discussed it for a moment, and then returned. He says, "You can't get a permit from the city to grill on private property." I then showed him the coordinates for the HOA and the Google Maps gridded drawing and my current GPS location. Mind you, I am smiling, handing sheet after sheet to him, because the grid was not all on one sheet and had addendums. It took about 4 minutes to explain it to him. As I was about to hand him more, he held up a hand to stop me. He then asked how long I had planned this, with a smirk. Well, I told him, about a week. He gave me a look of disbelief, but moved on. He then asked me if I threatened Karen. I just played back the recording to him, and then at the end, he said, "Nothing seems out of place here. You are free to go." I stopped him and asked if I could file a complaint for HOA harassment through him. He said, no, that the city clerk office is the correct place, but he would document harassment by the 2 of them and file the report for me. In my state, it's illegal to be harassed by the HOA. It comes with jail of a few months, fines as high as $5,000, and immediate removal from the board, and the possibility of recovery of damages. I settled for them both being removed from the board instead of filing a complaint. I waved to Karen every day I grill or showed her my leash if I had O. Funny comment about a HOA. Says a good HOA is a unicorn. We're not actually sure one exists, but there are rumors. Of course, it could just be a broken down old horse with a horn glued to its forehead, and you don't realize the truth until you've bought into it. The HOA is taking advantage of a veteran in this story. How would you handle it? This is by Real Estate Toss. Hi Reddit, I'm a first-time homebuyer running into some seriously weird issues with an HOA and curious about the legality of some of the stunts that they're pulling. I'm a veteran using the VA loan. Nothing is closed yet, but things are getting close enough to start worrying. My partner and I are purchasing a condo unit in Chicago. We've already agreed to a price with the seller, and our lender has approved the loan, and the appraisal and inspection are both completed as well. When it came time to drop off some money orders to the front office, we started seeing some serious problems. The building manager was great, up until we handed her the sales contract and the number for money down was still blank. Our lender told us to leave this blank for the time being, just so the VA loan stuff could clear, and it didn't need to be there until way closer to closing anyway. Now here's where the fun starts. The building manager asked what our loan to value was rather quickly, and we were stumped because as newbies, we aren't great with a lot of terms. We told her that we were doing a VA loan, and she immediately snaps back with, "Oh, so do you have the 20 months of assessment fees available to pay?" We had absolutely no idea what she was talking about and let her know that. She prints off page 22 and 23 of their 40-page HOA rulebook and shows us a clause buried in there where if you put down 0%, you owe 20 months of assessment fees. She did some quick math to show that we would end up owing just shy of what a 10% down payment would look like. She also included 2 parking spots and cable and internet. the parking spots are on a wait list and we were like 8 spots down. So she pulled those numbers right out of thin air, and the cable and internet is already on the assessment fee, and she listed it again. So I'm feeling like it's pretty obvious that she's trying to scare us off. It doesn't end there. She's also requesting that we each file a credit report through a company that they use. Again, after we've already been through this with our lender and bank and received credit scores from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. I asked if they could just get this done from our lender since it's already been done, and I was given a stern no, it has to be through this specific company. They gave us a number, an extension, and asked for a name. For what it's worth, both of our credit scores are very good, certainly more than sufficient for this place. They've also requested that the next HOA board meeting they have, that we meet them remotely so that they can basically interview us, and it sounds like they're going to approve us moving in. The 20 months of assessment payments were provided in the HOA rulebook that they gave us, but we didn't receive it at the beginning when we were discussing with the seller. It was also buried in an email with a total of 63 PDFs, only one of which was the rulebook. Everything else was just cover pages, meeting minutes, small potatoes, and nothing pages. No one except the HOA was aware of this 20-month assessment fee. Not us, our realtor, lawyer, and lender, the seller's broker, the seller's lawyer. No one had a clue until we told them the building manager hit us with it, and everyone is arguing that this fee should have been front and center. Also, none of us, seller's side included, have ever heard of such a clause, and we're all in agreement that this sounds absolutely insane. Our lender told us to basically tell them to kick rocks on having our credit hit again for their report, as this is a pretty bad thing to do during a major purchase. If they want credit scores, they can get them from him if he even deems it necessary. Our realtor suspects that voting in people in the building sounds like something a co-op does and doubts this is even legal. Our lawyer is looking into how they got around this being a form of discrimination. So I'm wondering if anyone has seen anything like this. How can we hack this apart? Is this stuff even legal? Even if we beat these fees, what are the odds that the HOA just messes with us the entire time we're there? It isn't too late to back out and cut our losses, but it's getting way too close to let it go. OP has a realization and says, yeah, this is sounding like a huge nightmare. Even if we get around all their bullcrap, I don't think I want to deal with them for however long we stay. Man, this is not just a red flag. These people own the whole red flag store. OP, run as fast as you can, man. They'll just take advantage of you if you move in. What do you think? No, Karen, I won't wash your car. Posted by Potential Drive 8623. This happened 3 days ago, and I still don't know what Karen was thinking, but working in retail for close to 20 years, I'm not shocked. So we have me as the OP, we have Karen, the neighbor guy, and then the guy who owns the lodge. Okay, so the setting, it's a hot and sunny Thursday afternoon, and I wrapped up work since I work very early mornings on Thursdays, and I get the afternoon off. I decided to wash my car since it got covered in dust from gravel roads, and being surrounded by lakes, the front gets covered in bugs. Gross, I know. So I break out my equipment power washer, foam blaster, buckets, new car soap, speaker to listen to music, and a little cooler with refreshments. I just finished spraying my car to spray soap on to clean when my neighbor, who was also washing his Escalade, waved me over. Neighbor says, "Hey OP, can I ask you for some help?" I say, "Yeah, sure, what's up?" "Hey, can you blast that dirt off of the bottom for me? The missus took the car out and somehow this happened." I took a quick look. It's got some mud, pretty good caked on, but not impossible to get off. "Yeah, sure," I say, "this'll just take just a couple minutes or so." So I brought my pressure washer over, turned it on, and started spraying the dirt off while rocking out the Nickelback. Only took about 3, maybe 4 minutes, and I got it off. Neighbor says, "Hey, those things work great cleaning. I need to invest in one. Thanks, OP." I say, "Sure thing, neighbor. Happy to help." So I wrapped up and resumed my car washing while enjoying Nickelback's album Dark Horse when a dirty Lincoln stops behind my car and the lady is waving me over. Now I should explain that I live at the end of the road and we don't have anything people would drive to unless you're visiting someone, and the main road is close to 8 blocks away. So yeah, not many cars drive by my house. Anyway, I walk up to the lady's car to see what she wants. Maybe she's lost or she can't find someone's house. Nope, I was wrong. Here's the conversation. I say, yes, can I help you, ma'am? And she says, yes, since you just finished, can you wash my car? Also, I'd like the seats and carpets cleaned as well. I'm confused for a minute and I reply, wait, what? Didn't you hear what I said? I'd like my car cleaned. I just got this and it's already got dirt and bugs on it. Sorry, but no, I'm not going to. But there is a couple of car washes down the main street and I think the shops offer it too. Karen, who clearly never was told no, looks at me and goes, why would I do that? You have everything to do it here. Just do it. You wash that guy's car. Now do the same for me and make sure to use wax as well. I reply, no, I didn't wash his car. I just quickly helped him to get the dirt off. I'm only washing my car. What did you say? Fine. How much for a wash? She replies. What? What? Can't you hear? I said, how much? Lady, I don't know who you are, and frankly, I don't care. I'm only washing my car. If you need your car washed, go downtown. What now? Honestly, what is wrong with you kids today? You don't want to work and get money. This is ridiculous. She did go into a little tirade that I won't go into, but then she gassed it down towards Main Street. I look at my neighbor. We both shook our heads and resumed what we were doing. About 3 hours later, I was busy playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 when someone rang my doorbell. I stopped playing and I went to go see who it was, and I opened the door and I see a guy standing there. He says, "Hi, I'm the guy who owns the lodge. Did a lady ask you if you can wash her car?" I reply, "Yeah, some lady did, and she acted kind of like a toddler when I told her no. Why?" He says, "That lady was complaining that the guy over there was rude and didn't want to help her. If you see her, just ignore her. I'm not going to let them stay here anymore. The husband is nice, but she's a piece of work." So I reply, "Okay, sure, but just out of curiosity, there's a lodge over there?" The other guy laughs and says, "Yeah, we only do it over the summer and about 3 weeks during the winter." So in one day, I learned that Karens can come at you anywhere and anytime, and I live about 2 blocks away from a lodge. A very interesting day. So funny update here, a commenter says, "You had a chance to go, how much? $10? No, $10,000. No refunds or reclamations payable in advance." And OP says, "I should have, but after working 10 hours, I wasn't thinking, but if it happens again, I will." Client tried to screw me by locking me out of my own system, posted by Axel RAFN. I've worked as an independent contractor in the IT field for over 20 years, doing all manner of things from creating simple HTML sites to managing a big hotel's complete IT infrastructure. One of the many clients I had back in the day I was coding big-ish custom websites was a rental company. Now, I had heard a lot of warnings about not working with this guy that owned it. He had a reputation that was sharp as a tack, backstabbing and conniving. He was a lawyer after all. So I went into the partnership with that in mind. He wanted a new website for his renting gig where people would list their home for rent, renters would sign up and pay a subscription to the site, and he would get the whole lot. Nothing out of the ordinary there. So we make a pretty good deal on paper, we sign it, and I get started on the project. Coding everything in PHP goes well, but he demands suddenly that I show him progress only a week into the project. He wants to see the website front now. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I tried explaining to him that the front end work isn't scheduled to start until after 6 weeks of back end programming, and that I only had pure code to show right now. The contract we signed clearly states this. He then gets on his high horse and demands that I put everything on hold to do the front end first, design and then program. I, being really young at the time and fairly naive, agreed to this without asking for it to be added to the contract as an addendum and start working on the design now. Now, the contract stated that I was given free reign of the design decisions as long as I maintained the same color scheme and used the same logo on the site. So I make a fast draft in Fireworks. This was back when it was a Macromedia product before the Adobe acquisition, and within 2 days, I show him. He's not impressed and demands a different direction and sets up a list of demands. I, as always, aim to please the customer and do just what he wants. I design a new layout with his list of demands, but he doesn't like that either. That's how the next 3 months go, a never-ending circle where he is never happy with anything. Now, close to 4 months into the project, he demands to see a working showcase of the back end. I point out that he himself changed the order in how the project was being done and had demanded that I do the front end design first instead of the back end as stated in the contract, which he now turns on to me and says, "Yes, the contract we both signed says that you will have a working back end to show me at the end of the month. If you don't honor that, I will have to take my business elsewhere and seek compensation for your lack of professionalism." Okay, I now have 12 days to do a back end for the site. So I get a friend to help me, and we work tirelessly through a weekend, and I have a good base to work from in 9 days. Mind you, at this point, he has only paid the security on the contract, which is about 5% of the total price, and has shielded himself from paying by hiding behind, "Well, if you can't honor the contract, why should I? Finish this work, and then I'll pay you as per the contract." Remembering now all the warnings I had heard about this guy, I decide to add a special function to the code just to be safe. More on that later. So now it's the end of the month, and we have a front end design he is okay with, a back end that has been finished to about 85% of what's required according to the contract, and I still have 1 month left to finish everything else. Time for show and tell. Since I was working on this development, I was running it on my own dev server, and I showed him this in a browser on his computer. I mentioned to him that since I only had 512 kilobits per second upstream from the server, it might lag a little, but it wouldn't when it would be put on the productional server that he has his website on at his hosting company. He says that's okay, and the demonstration goes on. As I'm showing him the site, both front end and back end, I can see he's immensely happy with it, although he would never say so out loud. He's trying to hide a smile that pops up regularly, and his eyes gleam with all the added ways that he can start making money from. Anyway, he now says that it's way too slow. This is wrong, that is wrong, blah blah blah. I want you to put it up on my production server and see how the speed is. Okay, no problem, I can make that happen. Please pay 50% of the contract and I'll get right on it. Okay, I wait a few days and then I get an email from him where he includes a forwarded message from the bank detailing a transaction from him to me to the amount of the 50% I asked for. So I push the system to his production server so he can take a look at it. It's under beta, his domain.tld. I then send him an email stating that he can try the system with the supplied credentials. What he doesn't know is that I knew he had been fishing around for another programmer to do this project, to, quote, pick up from a lazy deadbeat who couldn't do anything right. So I knew he would most likely try to screw me. What I also suspected was that the email he sent me with the transaction proof was a fake, which it ended up being. Pro Revenge 1. Remember that small function I mentioned? Well, what it did was, if user X, his user, tries to remove user Y, my admin, from the system without one setting being changed in the config first, the system will first delete and purge the database, and then remove all the documents in the web root. Well, not 5 minutes after he reads the email from me, he does just that. He tries to delete my admin user from the system to lock me out. Guess who has nothing of the project left? He does. Pro Revenge 2. Since it's considered forgery to spoof an email, especially from a bank, I sent the information to the authorities and he goes under investigation by both the police and the bank lawyers. Pro Revenge 3. I sold the system to a competitor of his for a better price than originally contracted to him, and last I knew, he was now blacklisted from owning a company, as well as he lost his right to work as a lawyer. I only got that 5% that he paid at the beginning, and for working for just over 5 months on this project, that's hardly anything. But the knowledge of his demise will keep my heart warm for the rest of my life.
The HOA towed me, but I'm not even in the HOA. Should I press charges? Click the video on your screen so you don't miss this awesome story, and I'll see you there.